Beterbiev versus Bivol just took place this Saturday. I'm going to be going through what happened, my predictions, and then also the breakdown of what actually happened in the fight. And you can give me your opinions in the comments whether or not you agree. And we're going to start off with the first fight of the night, which was Alakel versus Jesus Gonzalez. Now, I didn't see any footage because Alakel, this was his debut match against Jesus Gonzalez, who's an 0-2 guy who I also didn't find much footage of either. So I figured this was just Alakel's debut. He's going to be getting an easy layup, and he wants to kind of show his stuff, what he's about. He's moving up from the Emmys, so big step. He came in aggressive. He was determined to win. Gonzalez, not a slouch. Gave him a good showing. 4 rounds, fight only. Alakel, great debut. He's going to be a little bit, need to work on the defense just a smidge, just because he was getting caught by some overhands that Jesus Gonzalez was throwing with bad intentions. But overall, great performance for him. Great debut for him. Looking forward to seeing what else he has and what else he can show us. So now Sky Nicholson. Now I said that Nicholson was going to be able to win by keeping her footwork and keeping a Chapman from her, using her jab, using her footwork and her range. And that's exactly what she did. So Nicholson's last fight showed her really frustrating her opponent by keeping her at the distance, not letting her land. And she did the same thing to Chapman, where Chapman had success initially being able to land her shots in the first 2 rounds, but after that, Nicholson just ran away with it. And after that, the first 2 rounds, Chapman just couldn't find an answer, so great win for Nicholson. Moving up, we got Ben Whitaker versus Liam Cameron. Now, I got this one wrong. I thought that Whitaker was going to be able to land on Cameron and potentially even stop him. But unfortunately, one of the things I did say was that I don't like the way he uses his defense because he relies heavily on his reflexes and his youth to avoid those punches. And I said, if he comes against a guy who he doesn't time it right, he doesn't plan it correctly, he's going to get caught and he's going to get hurt. And that seemed to be exactly what happened. He was getting caught by Liam Cameron, walking him down around the ring the entire night. Very worst case scenario for him. And I was kind of surprised because he just didn't look like the slick outboxer that he did in his last fight. And it was really kind of disappointing. And so he just wasn't moving smooth. He just kept getting caught by punches instead of timing them correctly. And then at the end, he kind of ended it really poorly by they fell out of the ring, both of them, and then he claimed to have twisted his knee. Now, obviously, I don't want to say anything, but I think he was just looking to get out of that fight, to be perfectly honest. So great win for Liam Cameron. I hope Whitaker can bounce back, but that was kind of a bad wake up for him, and I hope he can upgrade his defense a little bit to because I basically said that was what was gonna happen if he continued to rely on his defensive maneuvering instead of just having a good defense. So too bad for him. Great win for Liam Cameron though. Apatia versus Jack Massey. Now, I'd said that Apatia was going to be able to keep him at the distance, push him back into the corner, and then land his combos, and that's what he did. Looked very good this fight. He put in that work to the body, which is one of the things I mentioned that he should do, just because his last fight, he was really headhunting, and even though he was hurting his opponent had a good enough chin to not go out and stay in the fight. But this fight, he really put in the work to the body, mixing it up to the shots to the head, to the body, getting him pushed back into the corner, and then unloading his combinations on him. Very, very impressive showing, and I really want to see him step up because he's a very exciting fighter, and I think he's one of those guys that might be one of the top dogs, the next top dogs. If he keeps getting better in his fights, I definitely want to see more of him. Very impressive win, very impressive. Fabio Wardley versus Frazier Clark. Now, this is a rematch for these folks. Both of them ended up in a draw their last fight. And I had lent towards a Clark decision because I just thought that his pace was going to be better. But unfortunately for him, Wardley came in not to fight a 12-round fight, but to fight maybe 3 rounds max because he came in heavy. So he wanted to hurt Frazier Clark. So he came in aggressive, caught Clark. Clark caught him back, but then he got caught back, and then the ref had to step in and stop it because Clark was not there anymore. Leaning off the ropes down to one knee and struggling to stand up. So great win for Wardley. Apparently Clark had to have surgery on his jaw, so hope he recovers well. But great win for Wardley. That was impressive way to close the chapter on their last fight. So very exciting. Chris Eubank versus Cesaro Meta. Now, I had said that this was going to be an easy win for Eubank, and it was. It was just a layup fight, which I think they were trying to do just to keep Eubank active, and I think they want to try to push the Conor Benn fight. And he looked impressive against a guy who didn't really need to be in there. Cesaro Meta just he hasn't been able to step up to all. He hasn't been able to match up to all the big step ups that he's had. And unfortunately, he just kept getting broken down by Chris Eubank, because Eubank he's a good fighter. He's a really good fighter, and then he has an engine that won't quit. So he's going to be coming at you the same pace, the same type of way for 12 rounds and not slow down. And unless you're like an actual talent, you're not going to be able to get away from that, and you're going to be hit by that, So good win from Eubank. I don't really see what it does for him. I think everybody kind of expected that to be the case. So, it is what it is. Great fight. Now, Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol. So, lot of controversy surrounding this fight. I'm going to be honest. I had to rewatch the fight a couple times because I am sort of biased, I think. But I still think Bivol took the fight. I gave rounds 1 and 3 to Bivol. Beterbiev got 4 through 6. Rounds 7 through 9. 7 through 9, clear Bivol. 11, clear Beterbiev. 10 and 12 are toss-ups for me, just because I thought Bivol did the better work, but Beterbiev finished stronger. However, I think people need to realize that boxing, like punches to the guard, they're not scoring shots. Those don't count. Like Bivol would land combinations on Beterbiev in those rounds and then kind of back up and be pushed back by Beterbiev. But Beterbiev doesn't really land clean on Bivol in those last couple rounds, to be totally honest. Like, I had to rewatch that fight, and I had to, really try to see what the judges saw, and I couldn't. I'm sure they have better angles and other ways to view the fight, but I just I didn't see it. I thought Bivol won pretty clearly, and Katie Robb showing up in the ring last minute is definitely not a good look for Beterbiev. So boxing fans just need to understand that, like, we can't just because someone hits hard doesn't mean that punches to the guard are effective striking. You can consider that. You can have that opinion. It's wrong, but you can have that opinion. So I honestly gave Bivol 1 through 7, 7 and 10, and 12. Even though he was getting backed up, he wasn't getting hit cleanly. So I'm going to lean that round to Bivol too. I thought Bivol won pretty clearly, in my opinion. Rewatch the fight, definitely. And, if you have an argument for or against it, let me know. I thought Bivol won pretty clearly. And like I said, 10 and 12 are definitely toss-up rounds. But I still think that Bivol won the fight pretty easily. All right. You can't just change the striking criteria because somebody hits hard. Okay. So anyways, that's my opinions on the fight. That's my breakdown. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you at the next one.